So in this lecture, we'll focus on the worksheet, find out how big it is, definition of some terms, and how to move around on the worksheet. Now to begin with, if you've never used Excel, it's kind of interesting that we've got letters up here for columns and not numbers. And that's because we're always using what's called a cell. If I click on this intersection of the A column and the first row, that is cell A1. Wherever I click on the worksheet, that is a cell. This is the junction of the D column and the 8th row, so it's cell D8. And notice that the name box that we referred to in the parts of the screen lecture is reflecting where the active cell is. Wherever I click, it always shows me. I'm in C5, and you can start to see why they made letters for the columns, because it's obvious that when we call out the letter D and then 4, we're referring to the column and then the row. If they were both numbers, there could easily be confusion as to what we meant. So columns and rows and cells, one more term, if I click in a cell and then I hold my mouse button down and drag, notice I can highlight several cells. This multi-cell highlighting is called a range, and we'll use ranges a lot, and that makes sense. If I had something I wanted to bold 20 things, let's say, I wouldn't want to do it 20 times. So with a range, you can identify everything you want to do something to, and then just issue the command one time. So you identify a range by its top left and bottom right corner cells. So this would be the range B3 through G10. And you get used to that. We'll do it many times during the course. Now, you might be wondering how big this thing is. We saw that we had a scroll bar on the bottom. If I use the horizontal scroll bar to move to the right, notice that the worksheet just keeps on going. It's kind of like a window on a much larger worksheet. And notice we went all the way to the end of the alphabet, and then it started all over again with an A in the front. If I keep on going, it'll go through the alphabet and then start over again with a B in the front. So there's multiple alphabets. Now we've got 31 rows showing on my screen. If I use the vertical scroll bar and scroll down in the same way, it just keeps on going. We're always using what's called a cell. If I click on this intersection of the A column and the first row, that is cell A1. Wherever I click on the worksheet, that is a cell. It always shows me. I'm in C5, and we call out the letter D and then 4. So how big is this thing? Now, a lot of people get used to this scrolling with the mouse, and it's one of the biggest failings I see of people with Excel. They don't get used to the shortcuts you can use with the keyboard. And let's illustrate that right now. If I wanted to know how many rows were in this, I could just click and hold, and this is what I see a lot of people doing. They click and hold because they've realized that if they do that, if they just drag down to the bottom of the screen will start scrolling. And same thing on the right or the left. Now that I'm over here. And it's a very inefficient way to do things, and it'll take you forever to get to the bottom of this thing. Let me illustrate. I'm going to show you a couple shortcut keys. These are in the notes that'll be at the end of the lecture. If I do control, I hold the control with my left hand. It's like a shift key, doesn't do anything by itself. But if I press the home key in that little section to the right of the enter key, so control and then I tap home, that always does the same thing. It goes to cell A1, top left corner of the worksheet. And now try this. Do control again and press the down arrow. So it would have taken us quite a while to get here by scrolling. There's over 1 million rows on a default worksheet. Now try this. Hold control again and press the right arrow. We are now in a column called XFD. It actually went through the A alphabet, the B alphabet. It went all the way through the alphabet and then started over again with an AA alphabet and an AB alphabet. So we're on an XF alphabet. There's actually 16,384 columns on the full spreadsheet. Now I'm going to do control home to go back up. You'll never get there. You'll never make a spreadsheet that big. It's just that they made it larger so that you could go real wide or real tall, but you're limited by the memory in your computer. This spreadsheet is inside the computer. If I put my name and press enter, if I type that in and press enter, if I turn my computer off now, this spreadsheet would be gone. I'd have to save it to my hard disk to magnetically record it so it would still be there when the power's off. So your limitation on your Excel sheet, how big it can be, is the memory in your computer. So all you need to realize is that it's larger than you need. Besides, if you have a lot of information, you're going to want to break off and put some of the information onto another sheet. And you can easily do that, and we'll do that in the lectures to come. Now, I'll warn you right now that as we go through this course, I'm going to really emphasize shortcuts. What's the quickest way to do something? It might not necessarily be with the keyboard. A lot of times it is, but it could be that there's a mouse technique that you're missing or some special tool that Excel 2016 has in it. What I want you to do as you learn about Excel 2016, I've always told people this in courses, go slow now to be fast later. Learn what the best way is to do whatever task you're doing, the most efficient way, and then later on you won't waste time like most people. So as we go through the course, I'm going to give you a lot of long ways and then the shortcut way, so you'll realize it can make a huge, huge difference. Now in the next lecture, we'll go through navigation on the worksheet, and I'm going to use that file that we saw in the first lecture, and you'll see that there's some special things about the control arrow keys. So I'll see you in the next lecture.